Welcome back to Math Party, people. Let's go ahead and take a look at how to divide by massive numbers here. So when it comes to, larger multiplication and larger division, mental math might not always be on the table. But there are strategies that you can still use to give yourself an easier time. So first of all, let's go ahead and take a look at this example here. We have number one, 861 divided by 21. Allow me to show you how you can go ahead and actually get this done a lot easier than you might think. So traditionally, we might be looking at something like this, and let me actually take a look at 616 divided by 28 to really show you the usefulness of this. You might be looking at 616 divided by 28, and if you know how to do long division, you might be saying, hey, let's go ahead and say right over here, and then 616. Then you ask yourself, hey, how many times does 28 go into 61? Now, that's a hefty question there, right? You have to ask yourself, how many times does 28 go into 61? And if you don't know what that is off the top of your head, you can be stuck sitting here for a while. And even worse, let's go ahead and say we have an example like such. Let's go ahead and say something massive like, let's go ahead and say right over here, like 360 divided by 45. Look, if you're frustrated about raising your score right now, if you feel like you're studying but you're not exactly remembering what you're supposed to, or suffer from test anxiety and blank on word problems a lot, then go ahead and text me directly. Here's my number, 567-698-8867. I'm Coach Anderson. I have a full program that's going to help you succeed. So go ahead and shoot me a text and say, hey coach, I want to learn more about the program. And I'll go ahead and explain how all of it works. That way you can stress less about this test, enlist with the job you want, and possibly get that bonus check too. And so, with that said, go ahead, shoot me a text. Let's learn more about it, and let's get you in the right position to succeed. Let's keep going. That may be an even more difficult question because once you set it up, look at how much of a problem this is. You're saying, hey, 45 going into 360. Well, you can say, okay, 45 doesn't go into 3, doesn't go into 36. So then you have to guess as to what it is for 360, right? We don't want to put ourselves in that situation. We don't want to be in a situation where we're doing long division and we just have to guess and check. So this is a strategy that I'm going to show you for dividing by larger numbers. That way when you take your test, you don't have to freak out or give any pause when that happens. So let's go back to number one here. So we have 861 divided by 21. Let me show you how to do this. My first question to you is this. When you're dividing by 21, is that the same thing as dividing by 3 and then dividing by 7? Yes. So here's the example. If we're taking a look at multiplying by 21, that's the same thing as multiplying by 3 and multiplying by 7, right? Correct, because 3 times 7 is 21. Now, if you're dividing by 21, that's the same thing as dividing by 3 and then dividing by 7. It is the same thing. Remember, multiplication and division are the opposite operations of each other. They're inverse operations. So you can apply a lot of the same strategies here for it. So instead of dividing by 21, you can absolutely divide by 3 and then divide by 7. You can absolutely do that. And that's going to give you an easier time because you're dealing with two smaller operations instead of one massive one. So let's go ahead and show what's up here. So for a question like 21, divided into 861, again, we can switch this up here. So let me show you the entirety of doing it by 21, then I'll show you the other technique with the smaller numbers. So let's say we're doing 21 here into 861. You gotta ask yourself, how many times does 21 go into 86? Well, you can say 4 times potentially. 4 times 21 would be 84. Okay, so we start off right there, 4 times. We subtract 4 times 21, which is 84. Then we have 2, drop the 1, 21 goes into 21, 1 time. Cool, right? Sweet. That was pretty quick, pretty easy. And that was great in this situation because, well, 21 into 86 was clean, right? But let's go ahead and show how we can still do it the other way. Let me start off by dividing 3 into 861. 3 goes into 8 2 times. Bring down the 6. 3 goes into 26 8 times. Again, you're dealing with smaller numbers, so it's a lot faster. Then bam, subtract, you get 24, bring down that 2, 21, and that's 7. And then from there, what you would do very quickly is you would divide 7 into that result. Because again, divide by 3, then divide by 7 will give you the answer. So 7 goes into 28 4 times. 7 goes into 7 1 time. And there it is. All done, and you have the same answer. Now, if you noticed, this first strategy worked out just fine, right? It worked out just fine because this situation, the number could go into that first set. But let's take a look at an example where, again, that might not be the case. Let's take a look at what we were looking at earlier with the 360. So right over here. Taking a look at an example like this, again, remember, 45 can't go into 36, but we need to know how many times it goes into 360, and then you're stuck playing the guess and check game. We don't want that. So what we can look at this as is this. 45 is the same thing as 9 times 5, right? Absolutely. So we can divide by 9, then divide by 5. Or you can go ahead, divide by 5, and then divide by 9. And the order doesn't matter. Remember, 9 times 5 is 5 times 9. It's the same thing. So you can pick the order that you want. I'm giving you this technique so that way you can look at situations like this and get it done again a lot faster. So if I divide by 9 first, look at the ease that I have here. 9 goes into 36 4 times. Okay, and then you bring down that 0. So you have 40. Then from there, what you're going to do is you're going to take that 40, and then you're going to divide the 5 in there now. The 9, we already did it. Now we'll do 5. How many times does 5 go into 40? Oh, we know that. 8 times. And that's our answer. And there it is. So that's the technique here, my party people. It's not going to be useful every single time because sometimes you might be able to just straight up do long division. But in this case, hey, splitting it up into 2 smaller numbers works out great. And so let's take a look at another example here where that will be very, very, very useful. So here, if you're struggling with the ASVAB, then it might be time to check out my ASVAB All-Access Program. It has all of my classes and the recordings, all the practice problems that you ever need, and you can text me whenever you need help. So there's much more to it, but feel free to click the link right here in this video or in the description that tells you a lot more about the program, and there's a video explaining how it all works. If you have any questions, I'm Coach Anderson. Find my contact info and reach out to me if you have any. Let's get to it and let's ace the ASVAB. We have 37. Now you can't split 37 up because 37 is a prime number. So are there going to be situations where you just have to go ahead and kind of guess and check sometimes? Yeah, there absolutely are. There will be. But let's take a look at an example where we are allowed to go ahead and split that number up. Let's go ahead and say we're looking at, actually right over here. Let's say we're looking at 266 divided by 38. Now, if we try to divide by 38, look at what happens. Well, over here, what happens is 38 can't go into 2, can't go into 26, and then we have to guess and check, right? When it comes to these situations, you can give yourself a much easier time by thinking of 38 as what? As 2 times 19. 38 is 2 times 19, so I can divide by 2 first, and then divide by 19. I can give myself an easier time by doing that. And so let me do that here. Let me divide 2 into 266. Oh, that's going to be pretty easy because that's going to be 133. Sweet. So now I can give myself an easier time, even though it's still kind of weird, but I can give myself an easier time by dividing 19 into 133. And here, again, look, we still have to guess and check, but we can do so with smaller numbers now. So 133, how many times does 19 possibly go in there? I might take a guess at, well, if this is 9, to get a 3, 9 times 7 will get you a 63. So I think I'm going to try out 7. Let me go ahead and guess 7. Did you see that technique there? Did you see that? What I said was, hey, 9 times what might give me 133? It ends in a 3. How do you start with 9 and multiply and get a 3 at the end? Well, there's 9, there's 18, 27, 36, 45, 54, 63. 63 is 9 times 7. So if I took a guess with a 7, look at what I have. 9 times 7, that's going to be 3. 1 times 7 is 7, plus 6 is 13. 133. So the answer would be 7. So again, this is all about giving yourself the opportunity to get these problems done in a more efficient manner. You have to be able to notice when one way or the other might work better. You got to be able to notice that. So let's go ahead and take a look at another example here, like 192 divided by 32. Again, you may be looking at this and you don't want to guess. You don't want to guess. So if you don't want to guess, then you might want to split this up as, hey, 32 is, I can say 16 times 2, but I don't want to divide by 16. It's also the same thing as 8 times 4. I'll go ahead and do that. I'll go ahead and do 8 and then 4. So divide by 8, then divide by 4, and we should have an answer. So here we go. Then I would think about that. 8 goes into 192. That's 2 times. And then you can work very quickly, and you have 24. Then up next, you'll do 4 divided into 32, which we know what that is. 4 into 32. Well, that's going to, or excuse me, not 32. 24, I'm rushing. 24 right there. If 4 goes into 24, we know that's going to be 6 times. And so again, you give yourself a much, much, much easier time. So you can get this done much faster, a lot faster than you think you could. Let's take a look at another example here. Let's say we're looking at, this one's a prime example. 2,352 divided by 49. That's huge. That's a huge number. I don't want to divide by 49, man. That's a lot, right? So instead of dividing by 49, well, we need to recognize instantly that 49 is 7 times 7. So I can divide by 7 and divide by 7 again. So if I do it that way, look at how much easier this becomes. 2352. You just work quickly here. 7 goes into 23 3 times. Then you have 25. That goes in there 3 times. Bring the 2 down. 7 into 42, that's 6 times. Okay, so then you're going to divide by 7 again, but you're going to divide it into 336. 7 goes into 33. That's going to end up being 4 times. Subtract the 28. 56. That's going to be 8. Your answer is 48. So again, if you know your basic long division already, then you can utilize splitting numbers up into their factors to get this done. All right. So if you're in the course right now, what you're going to be looking at is you're going to have an opportunity to go ahead and move forward, complete a worksheet, also work on speed drills. That way you can really raise your confidence here when it comes to dealing with dividing by larger numbers. I want you to gain that confidence. I want you to succeed. So don't wait. Go ahead and move on forward in the course. Or if you're watching on YouTube, then consider getting our course and program. That way you can raise your score and get that job you want. So with that said, my party people, cheers.